Okay, we should be recording now. Welcome, everyone. This is a public meeting for the Moab North Subdivision proposed determination. My name is Michael Drake. I'm the Assistant State Engineer over Adjudication. Also, another very important person in our office is Stilson, and I'll let him introduce himself. He's waving right now.
Yep, nice to be here. Mark Stilson from the Southeastern Utah office, located in Price.
So our purpose here today is to talk about the proposed determination for water rights in the Moab North Subdivision. This was recently published. We'll go through a few things this afternoon and give you a chance to ask questions at the end. We're even happy to take some individual and direct water right questions if you have those. But without further ado, we'll talk about the agenda now. This is kind of what we'll cover. We'll cover the adjudication process first and review where we have been over the last few years and what is still in front of us. We'll talk about the proposed determination, how to read it and how to interface with it. We'll also talk about how to file an objection. That would be if you happen to disagree with the recommendation we've made. You have the right to object in the Seventh District Court. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the hydrographic survey maps and show you what one of those looks like and how to access all of this, the proposed determination and the hydrographic survey maps. And then, as I mentioned, we're happy to take questions. I'm glad I have Mark and some of his staff here. They are happy to help with any questions you might have on this proposed determination. So with that, we'll go ahead and keep going. There we go. Okay, what you see on your slide or in your video is the adjudication process. This is the process we've been following throughout this adjudication. And we've got, as I click the button here, you'll see a bunch of dates populate on your screen. We've made a lot of progress here. So this started back in 1961 with a petition to the court, and that's what began the Southeastern Colorado Adjudication. However, we break these adjudications up into smaller pieces. This particular piece, which is called the Moab North Subdivision, was begun on April 5th, 2018 with a notice published in the paper. And then that was followed shortly thereafter with a summons on April 6th, 2018. This is that very first mailing that we sent to everyone in the area. And I'm sure it caused a lot of concern. To try and alleviate that concern, we held a public meeting on April 18th, 2018, and helped to, I hope, educate you a little bit on the adjudication process and let you know how that process was going to be followed. The first step following that public meeting is the notice to file claims, and that was sent out to the entire area. All of the property owners, all of the water right owners of record, and 90 days was given to file those claims. At the end of that period, we went through and reviewed all the claims we had, and there were some rights that we knew about that didn't get claims, and so those were put on a list of unclaimed rights, and that was published on the 25th of October. 2018, and 90 days was given to object. We held another public meeting in November of 2018, and we talked about the list of unclaimed rights. And then there was a period of objection. If a right ended up on that list and it was incorrect, then there was the ability to object to that and get that right removed from the list of unclaimed rights. Once all of that was done, we sought a final summons from the court, for all claims that needed to be submitted to this adjudication, and we began the long process of a claim investigation. So that's been going on since 2019, and we recently completed this towards the end of summer, and we put together what is called the proposed determination, and that's the document that we're here to talk about today. So as you can see in steps 13 and 14, that kind of brings us to today. We're holding the final public meeting, and that is to talk about this proposed determination. And similar to other steps in the process, we're in the midst of a 90-day period to object. Each of you have been provided notice of this proposed determination, and if there's something in that proposed determination for your right that you don't agree with, you have the right to object, and we'll talk about how you can do that. And it's within this 90 days. You can see that 90-day period ends on December 29th, 2021. And then we enter the final stage of the adjudication, and that is the objection resolution and decree. And that will only occur that final decree will only occur once we have resolved all the objections to the proposed determination. Okay, so that's the general process. We'll go into more detail on what the proposed determination is. You should now see on your screen a set of sections to the proposed determination, and we'll just jump into it and talk about each one part by part. This is the very front of the proposed determination, the title page. On this, you'll find some important information. First off, the district court is identified. This is in the Seventh District Court. You'll also see the general adjudication description and the civil case number. That civil case number is important because that is the number that you'll reference if you were to file an objection to this proposed determination. You'll also see the hydrologic division and subdivision name, which is the Moab North Subdivision. And then you'll see the area and book numbers, which is 05, area number 5, and then book 2. The next page is the notice to water users. Now this page is important because, well, I guess first off, it includes a civil case number again. But more importantly, it gives instructions on filing an objection. Okay, that objection needs to be filed, as I stated before, within 90 days of that proposed determination being published. That would be that December 29th date. And that objection needs to be filed with the Seventh District Court. The next page is, or the next set of pages, because this is really a few pages, is the preamble. And I think there's nothing I noted on this page. This is just the first page of the preamble. A little bit later into the preamble, you'll find an important section, at least for some rights, and that's a prior decree section. I just wanted to point to it here, that there is some additional guidance given relating to the 1908 Mill Creek Decree. The next page you'll find, or significant section, is the location map. There's just one thing I wanted to point to here. I know there are 2 adjudication subdivisions going on in the Moab area, and the dividing line, at least within the valley area, is the Spanish Trail Road that generally divides. So it gets a little more complicated as you go towards the northeast, but for just a quick frame of reference, that's the dividing line between the 2 subdivisions. All right, the first real meaty section of the proposed determination is what we call the priority schedule. And this lists all of the rights in order of priority, the priority date. And on this page, you'll see them listed with some key information. First off, you'll have the water source described. In this case, I'm highlighting this list spring. You'll also see the priority date, and that's listed for each and every water right. You'll see the flow rate, or the annual volume, the quantity of water for each water right from each source. And then you'll see the water right number and then the owner of record. This is useful to, in the case that there's competing claims or competing water rights, that you can see what water rights divert from a given source and which rights have which priority dates. This is useful in distributing water. As you move on, we have the listing of all of the water rights. This is the very first page of what we call the description of rights. And we'll go through and address each part of that. You'll see the water right number listed, the owner and the ownership interest, if that's applicable. You'll also see the quantity of water, like was presented in the priority schedule. And the quantity of water is described as in either CFS, which is a flow rate, cubic feet per second, or acre feet, which is a volumetric measure. And then you'll see the priority date and the source. And you'll see also the point of diversion, location, and if it's a well, you'll see some well data here. This water right is a surface diversion, so you don't see that. But if you look down towards the next water right, 05-109, you'll see that it is from a well, and you see some well data, some well information there. The next information you'll see is a water use group and a number. This organizes all of the beneficial uses for the water rights. And underneath that, you'll see the various beneficial uses. In this case, it's stock watering and domestic. And you'll see a period of use for each one of those beneficial uses. You'll see a sole supply. In this case, it's 36.2 ELUs, or equivalent livestock units, and then a group total for those uses, which in this case is 36.2. You'll also see a place of use identified. This is in section, township, and range. You'll see the place of use matrix, which breaks up the sections into quarter sections. And then you'll see the place of use identified. In this case, you can see that there's an X placed under the southwest of the northwest of section 36. As we move along, there's many water rights listed. There's also, once we get to the end of all of the description of rights, we come down to the forfeited rights section. And these are all of the rights which have been forfeited through the adjudication due to non-use. These are identified in a very similar format to what you've seen already. The water right number is listed. The owner of record is identified. And the points of diversion and source is identified. The next section is the invalid claims section. We actually only have one of these in this proposed determination. Again, follows the same format that we've seen previously. The water right number is identified, the owner of record, and then the points of diversion and source is identified. And then finally, let me admit this person. Finally, the alphabetic index is at the end of the proposed determination. This is very useful because it's organized according to the owner of record, and you can thumb through this and find your right very quickly. You can see here it's organized according to the owner, and you'll find the source, the point of diversion source, the water right number, and what page or pages you'll find references to that water right. Okay, moving along from the proposed determination, also prepared simultaneously with this were the hydrographic survey maps. And these look like many maps you might see. The north arrow, scale, and scale bar are included. We also have a map legend. It's important to note that these are correlated with those water use group numbers that we talked about previously. And so as you look on that map, and I think I can use my cursor over here. Yep. you'll see areas blocked in or hatched in. These are places of use for different water rights. And they have a water use group number, which then correlates over here with the number and the various water right numbers that might be associated with that place of use. And then finally, this is a large and irregular area, and so this index map is very helpful to be able to navigate and identify where you are within that area. Okay, so let's talk about how to access the proposed determination. Some of this information was sent out in the notice, but let's review it. One thing is it's very important to understand who is receiving this. Contrary to the prior notifications we've sent in this adjudication, this is not sent to all property owners. This notice of the proposed determination is sent just to water right owners listed on the records of the state engineer, claimants who have submitted claims in the Moab North adjudication, in addition to registered agents for entities that are owning water rights or they've filed claims in the adjudication, and then to councils of record who have filed an appearance with the court. So it's a smaller group. Basically, if you have a right within the proposed determination, one way or another, you were provided notice of the proposed determination. The proposed determination can be accessed online. These links were provided in the mailed notice that we sent to each of the water right owners of record. You can also find links to this on our website, but these are the links that you can use to access the proposed determination and the hydrographic survey map. The proposed determination was filed also at the district court, and you can obtain a copy of it there. We can also make a printed copy for you at our office for a nominal fee. So that kind of covers things right now. Let's real quickly here, if you have a question, we're certainly happy to address it today in this public meeting. If you'd like to contact one of us, either myself or Mark, we're probably your best sources for that, to address any questions you might have. You can see my email address listed there, as well as Mark's email address. Let's see, as far as phone numbers, I really should put a phone number down here. We can look that up and tell that to you, and we're happy to take phone calls as well. So at this point, we're happy to take any questions. If you have any questions about the process, or we can also address individual questions. I guess real quickly, Mark, was there anything that you wanted to add particular to this area, you being the regional engineer?
No, Mike, I think you covered it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Hi, Michael. Yeah, I did have a question. So I'm coming into this at the very beginning of 2020, so I missed some of the preamble here. But I just wanted to understand broadly what is the purpose of adjudication? Is it just to identify claims that aren't used anymore and have been abandoned, or what's the story there? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Adjudication serves a few different purposes. One is to organize and gather all of the water rights in an area. One of the reasons we adjudicate is when the state of Utah was, when Utah became a state, a key provision of the Constitution was that it recognized all previously existing water rights as valid water rights. So if someone had been using a water right prior to statehood, oh man, I think it's 1896 or 7. I'm forgetting right now. But if there was a use of water in place prior to statehood, then the Constitution recognized it. However, it didn't provide a way for that water right to come onto the records. And so the adjudication is one way that we go into an area and identify and organize all of the water rights within that geographical area. So we are in the midst of doing this in several different parts of the state. And the Southeastern Colorado area is one place where we're doing that. And so a couple of years ago, we identified this as an area that needed to have this work done to organize the water rights. Another aspect of adjudication is we do go in and look at each of the water rights and determine whether they're still being used. And if they're not being used, they could be subject to forfeiture. And so we make those determinations through the adjudication. If you recall, we talked about the list of forfeited rights is part of the proposed determination. So those are some of the reasons we adjudicate. It's largely the way that we go through and organize and bring onto the records of the state engineer all of the water rights, even these older water rights, which we call pre-statutory rights. So I hope that answers your question. It's generally an organizational thing that we do.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. That answers my question. Is this a process that occurs every 10, 50 years, or is this the first time that we've done this here in Utah?
Yeah, very good question. This is the first time that we've done this in the state of Utah. It's generally contemplated, at least under current statute, to be a one-time thing that we do. I know other states do things differently. Some states do a recurring sort of evaluation of water rights, but that's not currently in Utah statute. So this is truly envisioned as kind of a one-time review and organization of the water rights in the area.
Awesome. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. I'm going to, let's see, let's put up a couple phone numbers. I should have done that on our slide. In fact, maybe I will just, let's see if I can do this live as we're going here. The adjudication phone number, and I always forget what it is. Well, we can just put up my number. That'd be just fine. So my phone number is 801-538-7397. And if I can do this live, I'll do that. 801-538-7397. And if I hit back here, you should now see it. Mark, did you want to put up a phone number for you?
Sure. Our office number is 435-613-3750.
Okay. So if you have any questions, we're happy to take those questions at either location. I'm up in Salt Lake. Mark is down in Price. He manages this from a more local standpoint. We're a little bit more statewide, but that's kind of how it works. Okay, last chance. Any questions from the group? Okay. I appreciate everyone joining this afternoon, and like I say, please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. We can talk you through any of this. I guess please just remember that the 90-day period ends on December 29th. That's when any objection would need to be filed with the courts, and that's about it. Okay, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and stop recording here.